Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our online audience. I think they are just now joining us, so thank you for being here. We appreciate you. This is the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for Colorado State Senate District 10. I am your host, Shelley Roars, spokesperson for the League of Women Voters. We are coming to you live from School District 49, Creekside Success Center, so we appreciate the facility. Our candidates this evening joining us are candidate number 1, Mr. Larry Liston, our Republican candidate, and candidate number 2, Mr. Ryan Lucas, our Democratic candidate. So thank you for both of you for joining us. Our moderators this evening are Carolyn Kolaski with the Black and Latino Leadership Coalition and Felicia Hubbard with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. We're going to want to just kind of welcome you, and please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your organization before we get started.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Carolyn Kolaski. I'm with the Black and Latino Leadership Coalition here in Colorado Springs and Pueblo. One of the things that I would like to mention about our organization is that we've been around for well over a decade, and what our position is that we are interested in any issues that affect the Black or brown communities in Colorado Springs and Pueblo. And so therefore, we are seen at different community and civic meetings, and we gather information and then bring that information back to our group, put it online so that people can read about it and hear about these things that are happening in Colorado Springs and Pueblo, and help people with various things such as when to get shots, when we had the what was it called? The COVID-19. So that was one of the things that we did for our community, was to tell people where they could go and when to go to get their shots for COVID-19. Anyway, that's what we do, and I'm so happy to be here this evening.
Good afternoon. My name is Felicia Hubbard, and I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I'm actively participate in the Colorado Springs Alumni Chapter. And our chapter here locally was developed on February 15th, 1969, and we actively support giving scholarships and organizations throughout our community.
So we're going to get started right away here with our first candidate, Mr. Liston. You will be given 2 minutes to do an opening statement, and Mr. Liston will be followed by candidate Lucas, and Mr. Lucas, you'll also be given 2 minutes. Mr. Liston.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I want to thank the League of Women Voters in particular for hosting this forum. I see some familiar faces, and in particular, I want to give a shout out to one of the members who happens to be my former teacher way back when. Either, I say this tongue in cheek to Susan Thuney, either you were a teenage teacher or I was a child prodigy, because we go way back to Wasson High School. She was one of my teachers in world history, and so it's great. So I am Senator Larry Liston. Yes, I shout out. I am Senator Larry Liston. I represent Senate District 10 for the last 4 years, and I also want to give a shout out to my lovely wife, Mary Ann, who is here in the audience, who is the love of my life. And she's my secret weapon, quite frankly. People know me and they like me, but they love my wife. I know that for a fact. So she's my true secret weapon. It's been my privilege and honor to represent the good people of Senate District 10, which is essentially the north central part of Colorado Springs. Before I got into politics, I was in the investment business. I had a successful career for 31 years with the Royal Bank of Canada, which is a great institution where I did all kinds of public finance, corporate finance, and you name it in the corporate. I serve on in the Senate. I serve on the Business, Labor, and Technology Committee, where I'm the ranking member. I'm on the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, and I serve on the Senate Appropriations Committee. And with that, I'll turn it over. And once again, I'm very pleased to be here and look forward to answering your questions. Thank you very much.
Mr. Lucas.
And thank you so much. Mr. Liston and I have in common that our wives are much more popular than ourselves. My wife is also here in the audience, so thanks for being here to support me. She's actually the reason why I first ran for office 4 years ago. A deeply emotional conversation following the back-to-back shootings in Uvalde and Dayton, Ohio. That led to a very intense conversation that ended up with me running for office for the first time back in 2020 when I ran for Congress here in CD5. For those of you who I've not yet had a chance to meet, my name is Ryan Lucas. I am running for Senate here in Senate District 10. I was actually, I believe, the last candidate to be put on the ballot in the entire state of Colorado. And the reason for that was because I was a vacancy appointment and I was actually on my way to Mexico when I was put in that vacancy position. So I actually filled out my paperwork while I was in Texas, and then had to take my paperwork with me to Mexico and then bring it back to the United States to mail it in. So I was literally the last person to turn in my documentation. I'm very excited to be in this race, and what is so important to me about this particular campaign is that even though I was the last person to come into this race, I'm here to give an opportunity for people who want to find somebody who's like them on the ballot. And in a constantly shifting district, as most of El Paso County is, I wanted to put myself out there to meet with voters and really give them the opportunity to talk about the things that are important to them, and for Democrats, unaffiliated, and Republicans to all kind of come to consensus on things. So thank you so much to the League for having me here, and for all of you for making it out tonight.
Okay.
Sorry, we're just trying to clarify something over here. We just want to make sure, Mr. Liston, since you did introductions first, Mr. Lucas, you will get the first question first, which these first 5 questions have been given to the candidates in advance by the League of Women Voters. So these were prepared by our league. So I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So what experience do you have working with an organizational budgets?
1 minute.
1 minute?
Yes, sir, 1 minute.
Wonderful. Actually, I've done had kind of 2 careers since I moved here to Colorado in 2008. The first was working for a behavioral healthcare company where I quickly rose in the ranks in that organization. And then as the chief information officer, I was actually overseeing the accounting department. So I oversaw the budget of a $4 million company. Was my first job right out of moving to Colorado. Then thereafter, today, I actually advise companies up to $100 million on their IT and infrastructure budgets. It's part of what I do for my day job. So I have a pretty vast experience with dealing with budgets large and small.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Liston.
Mr. Liston, you're next, and go ahead.
Very good. Well, my experience when I was in the private sector, I served on the board of the Pikes Peak chapter of the American Red Cross for 4 years here locally, and each year we had to propose a budget, and so I have experience there. I would say, quite frankly, my experience in the legislature, as I mentioned, I serve on the Senate Appropriations Committee, where we see all of the bills that come through that have a fiscal note. Also, during my years in the legislature, I've had to vote on 16 budgets for the state of Colorado, and by law, it's in the Constitution that we must have a balanced budget. So I have had to make very difficult decisions every single year on what the state of Colorado's budget is. And when I first got in the legislature, the budget was $15 billion. It's now around $43 billion.
Thank you. Our next question, we'll go to Mr. Liston first. What activities do you support in Colorado Springs and El Paso County? 1 minute.
Very good. Some of the activities that I have been active with the Boy Scouts of America in the past. I'm an Eagle Scout myself. Also, I am an active member of the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs, where we've had a presence for over 100 years. One of the things that we do each year, we have the butterfly auction, where some of you have probably been to, where we have the butterflies and the dragonflies, and the money that we raise for that goes to District 11 for their STEM programs. So that's been very, very successful. Been a very active member on that. And I also serve on the board of the Pikes Peak Firearms Coalition, where we teach firearm and gun safety, which is very paramount. So that's what I've done.
Thank you. Mr. Lucas, what activities do you support in Colorado Springs and El Paso County? 1 minute.
Yeah, so I'm actually also an Eagle Scout. So nice to meet you. I would say that there are two things primarily that I've supported, and unfortunately both of them have been very political. Again, I've run for office 3 times in the 4 years that I've lived here in Colorado Springs. So I ran for Congress. I also ran for County Commission 2 years ago, and now running for State Senate here in District 10. But I've also been extremely involved in the El Paso County Democratic Party. I've actually helped with the executive committee. I've been House District Chair, Senate Chair, County Chair, County Commission Chair. So I've been very involved in politics since I moved here. And that actually was a career for me right out of college. So my first job out of college was actually working in politics, and I was able to help with a lot of political campaigns, as well as helping out with issues from all levels of government.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, candidate Mr. Lucas. What plans do you have to communicate with your constituents? 1 minute.
So I think that town halls are incredibly important, but actually one of the things that I am hoping to accomplish as a new senator is to focus more on digital communication. So opening up more regular communications through various modes of electronic media, including hosting virtual town halls or virtual forums. And then I actually, want to hold AMAs on Reddit on a regular basis to get people regularly involved in the issues. And then also I would like to have a monthly meet up at a beer, at a bar, have a beer sort of event with constituents so that they can open up, talk about whatever issues are presently impacting them.
Very good.
Yes, okay. As an elected official over the years, I've had numerous town halls and continue to do that. In fact, one of the places where I have them is at McKenzie Place in north central Colorado Springs. I think that I'm kind of a people person, person to person, and to actually be able to see and hear those questions face to face. In fact, I see a couple of people who have been to my town halls. In addition, I have, during the session, I have newsletters that I send out on a regular basis. And last but not least, I've been actively campaigning, and just over the weekend, I met a constituent who needed some help on Social Security. So I immediately, today as a matter of fact, connected her with our incoming congressman to be, we hope, Jeff Crank, and have him reach out so that this lady could get her Social Security benefits. So I'm very well known throughout Senate District 10 for being a hands-on senator and for willing to engage the public all the time.
Very good. Gentlemen, could you name your top 3 priorities for the county and the state? You have 1 minute, and we'll ask Mr. Liston.
Thank you very much. Well, I would say that one of my top priorities that I've gotten very interested in is in the field of nuclear energy. Here in Colorado, we've been blessed with a variety of different energy sources but we're finding that that fossil fuels are not in favor anymore. And if we're going to replace fossil fuels, coal and natural gas, we've got to have something that will replace that. So I have been leading the charge for nuclear energy, and will continue to do that in this upcoming session. In addition, I am very concerned about the so-called smash and grabs that have been occurring throughout El Paso County, where people literally drive their car through a business, jump out and rob it. So I'm going to be working very closely with the law enforcement officials to come up with legislation that will clamp down on smash and grabs.
Okay, thank you. So we will start with Mr. Lucas. How do you plan to work with other layers of government?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Last question.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
go back to that next question.
So the top three priorities that I want to be working on in the next session, public transportation is incredibly important to me. When I first moved to Colorado Springs, it was the first time I had to buy a car after living in 2 other cities. To me, that is a very unfortunate reality of living in this city. So public transportation is really important at the county as well as at the state level here in this state. Homelessness and economic equality are probably my number 2 and number 3 issues. So I would be looking for opportunities to improve those in this state next.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Lucas, how do you plan to work with other layers of government?
So, funny story about this, when I was running for county commission 2 years ago, we thought this was really important for people to understand. In fact, we put together an entire forum with various candidates specifically around how do you deal with multiple layers of government. So we had candidates from the House race as well as a Senate candidate that were there at that event, a CD5 candidate, and then also I was there representing the county perspective. I think it's incredibly difficult for people to understand how these different branches or layers of government and branches have to work with one another. And so one of the things that we really focused on was breaking down each individual issue at this forum and talking about it from each of those perspectives, how budget, how enforcement, how all these different items come together through those different layers. And I think that was an incredibly important event because it was actually a forum that was held there for high school students. So they actually learned how those different layers work.
Okay. And Mr. Linston, how do you plan to work with other layers of government?
Sure. Well, thank you. Well, as a legislator, I have a proven track record of working with elected officials at the local level, the county level, and the state level. For instance, at the local level, I've worked very closely with our past mayor, John Southard, who I know very well. I also work very closely with the city council members, such as Dave Donaldson and Mr. Helms, and all of the city council people. In fact, they're on my phone, so I call them all the time. At the county level, I work very closely with the county commissioners. I know them all personally. I've worked with them on legislation and will continue to do so. And in fact, in the House, I was the ranking member of the local government committee. And thirdly, on the state level, I work with all of the state officials from top to bottom, including the governor, including the Secretary of State and our Attorney General. So I have proven experience working with everybody on all of the levels of government and will continue to do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liston. The next question asks, do you believe immigration has had a significant negative impact in Senate District 10 in the last 5 years? If so, be specific, and you only have a minute.
Very good. No, I don't think immigration has had a negative impact, especially for legal immigration. I believe in immigration, and we're a country of immigrants, but it has to be legal. And like I say, I've lived in this community for 57 years, so I've seen it grow and prosper. But it's been through the hard work and the dedication of all of the citizens and the people who come here and work legitimately and work legally, and there needs to be a process for all of that. And there's a way to do it correctly, and I'm fully supportive of that. So no, I don't think it's had negative implications because Colorado Springs wouldn't be we're now the 39th largest city in the United States, and we would not have grown this way if we had just stayed organically the way we are right now. So I welcome immigrants from all over the world, and I'm an immigrant too. I was born in England and became naturalized.
So, same question to you. I'll repeat it. Do you believe that immigration has had a significant negative impact in Senate District 10 in the last 5 years? And if so, be specific, 1 minute.
So absolutely not. And I would go a little bit further to say that I think it's had a very positive impact. One of the things that I was very excited about in the last election was that we just elected an immigrant mayor here in Colorado Springs, and I thought that that was a wonderful move within this city. I think that there's an amazing opportunity that immigrants bring into our community. I actually just got this question from a constituent earlier today. And one of the things that, when pondering that question, was the cultural value of the growth of this community, even in the short time that I've been here, which has been about 5 years. So it's been a wonderful thing to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing that continue to expand.
May I have a follow-up question, please, to that?
Sure.
To both of you, 30 seconds. Is it difficult for some coming from third world countries to become a naturalized citizen, in your opinion?
Do you want to
I'm going to go with, I'm sorry, Mr. Liston first. You were first to answer, then Mr. Lucas. So a follow-up, please, again. Is it difficult for some coming from third world countries to become a naturalized citizen, in your opinion? 30 seconds.
Sure. Well, I'm sure that there are some hurdles when you come from a third world country. There's going to be some challenges, be it language and just knowing the laws of our country. But there's a lot of organizations here in this community that work with immigrants and to help them learn English as a second language and to bring them up to speed. It's not going to happen overnight, so it's a challenge for everybody, but I don't think it's impossible, and they're willing to accept that challenge because this is the greatest country in the world, and that's why people are flocking to our borders.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Mr. Lucas, same question.
So certainly our immigration process is extremely difficult to navigate for anybody, and I think it's only worse for those who come from nations that are categorically maligned in their movement into this country. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. I apologize for interrupting, ladies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we will start with the next question from the audience with Mr. Lucas. What are your plans for promoting sustainability and protecting the environment? 1 minute.
Yeah, so again, my top priority going into the legislature is going to be around transportation, and I think that that has an incredibly far-reaching impact into a lot of different areas, the environment not the least. So I would say that the number one thing that I would like to see happen is a decrease in the number of fossil fuel emissions out of personal vehicles as a primary mode of transportation throughout Colorado Springs.
Okay, and moving to Mr. Liston.
Well, thank you for that question. As I mentioned, I am a huge proponent, will continue to be, for nuclear energy. There is more and more companies and states now are looking at nuclear energy. And when I say nuclear energy, I'm not talking about the giant 500 or 1,000 megawatt plants. The technology has changed dramatically that we now have what's called small modular reactors, where you could put a small SMR, as it's called, literally in a corner of this room. There needs to be, I'm for all of the above, quite frankly, wind, solar, nuclear, hydroelectric, and so forth. So we shouldn't be cutting out anything. And having lived in this state for 57 years, I don't know anybody that wakes up any day and says, geez, let's pollute Colorado. We love Colorado because of the clean environment. That's why many of us have stayed here, and one of the reasons that I continue to work in the legislature to keep our state energy independent, which we need to be.
Thank you, sir. Another audience question. The Legislative Council is projecting a $1 billion budget shortfall in the coming year. If elected, how will you prioritize the balance of the budget? You have 90 seconds.
Is that me first?
That will be Mr. Liston.
Very good. Well, thank you. That couldn't be a more appropriate question. Like I say, I serve on the Senate Appropriations Committee, and that is a committee of reference where once a piece of legislation, no matter how good it sounds, once it passes the both bodies, then it ultimately comes to the Appropriations Committee. And I've been very privileged to sit on that committee where we have to make the decision, or whether we're supposed to make the decision of a bill, no matter how good it may sound. Do we have the money to pay for it? And so we have to look at just on the financial side of it. Quite frankly, I'm been rather dismayed that here in this past year, this past legislative session in 2024, I serve in the minority, but of all of the bills that came through the Appropriations Committee, we did not kill one bill at all. And I voiced that to my colleagues, that we're going to run into some budgetary problems, and sure enough, now we are. We have a budget deficit facing us of $1 billion to $1.5 billion. We should have been making those tough decisions in 2024, and so I am willing to. It's called tough love. Is that sometimes there's good pieces of legislation and good programs, but we have to learn how to say no, and I know how to say no.
The Legislative Council is projecting a $1 billion budget shortfall in the coming year. And if you're elected, how will you prioritize to balance the budget? You have 90 seconds, Mr. Lucas.
So I really despise equating your home finances to government. It's not quite the same thing, although I know a lot of people like to think about budgets in the state that way. But there is one thing that is true, which is that you have to pay your obligations first, and then you deal with everything else that you need to pay for. So along with Senator Liston, I would agree. I think the first thing that we have to do is we have to look at how we can actually fund these things so that we have a balanced budget every single appropriation year. I don't know what the line items are that end up getting cut for that. I'm not privy to those conversations, but absolutely settling your obligations first has to be a priority.
Thank you. So let's move on to the next audience question, and we'll start with Mr. Lucas, then Liston. What differences you from your opponent? 1 minute.
Well, I just found out that he has a wonderful wife and is also an Eagle Scout. I think the thing that I'm seeing that is differentiating the two of us is that one of us has a D by our name and the other one has an R by our name. I think we both really want the best things for this district. I think we have different ways that we want to go about doing that. The one thing that I'll say that I think is a differentiation is that I bring a lot of experience from outside of the city, right? I lived in Denver before here, Chicago before that. I've lived in 5 other states before moving to Colorado. I've done a lot of different things. I've worked in a lot of different places, and I would also be a part of the majority, meaning that I would be able to help to sway conversations that are happening at the Capitol within my own caucus.
Perfect. Mr. Liston.
Very good. Well, I'm sure we're both fine individuals, notwithstanding whether an Eagle Scout or not. But what I bring is a vast knowledge of Senate District 10 and the people of Colorado. I've lived in this state for 57 years. And in fact, I've lived in Senate District 10 for 57 years. So I know the people, they know me, they trust me, they like me, and they vote for me. Not just because I have an R by my name, because I have gotten good things accomplished. I know how to work with the other side, because being in the minority, to get anything done, I have to work and I have to go across the aisle to work with my colleagues across the aisle, which I've been very successful at doing so, which is part of the reason that I've been endorsed by so many organizations that I'll get into later. But we need to have a viable two-party system. Right now, we don't, in all fairness, we don't need more people in the majority party. We need to bring balance back to the state government, and that's what I represent, is balance.
Gentlemen, we're going to have one more question before our break. Why should I vote for you? We're going to ask Mr. Liston.
30
that
seconds.
question. 30 seconds.
Well, I think, thank you. Well, I think you should vote for me because I've been a successful legislator. My heart and soul has been put into the good people of Senate District 10. I'm a competent legislator. I've gotten good things done for the people of Colorado, not just my Senate district, but for the whole people of Colorado. So I'm a good legislator. I'm willing to work across the aisle on a nonpartisan basis. And I bring a good thoughtfulness to the legislature, which is what you want out of a legislator. So I do ask for your vote and would love to have you vote for me.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Lucas, why should I vote for you?
So this is one of those things that it's a very personal thing to ask for somebody's vote. And are you in SD10, or are you asking this?
I'm just asking it
Just
for the people.
for the people?
The
Great,
good people
wonderful.
of SD10.
So let me ask then everybody else that's here who's a part of SD10. I'm the guy who sits down and talks to a Republican for 2 hours about the most mundane policy issue at a party when everybody else is trying to have fun. Wow, that was fast.
30 seconds does go fast. So,
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go away, candidates. Just a few seconds. We're going to introduce. We got more questions coming up, and we are going to give our candidates a short break as we say thank you and introduce some of our co-sponsors. Of course, our media sponsors are Studio 809 Podcasts and Longmire Audio Engineering, bringing our sound and visuals for tonight's forum. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. Of course, KOAA Channel 5, KRCC Public Radio. Our other co-sponsors are AARP, the Black Forest Chapter, Black and Latino Leadership Coalition, Citizens Project, I believe, is here in the audience as well, Colorado Latinos Vote, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Latina Equity Foundation, NAACP Colorado Springs, Neighbors for Education, also in the audience, Pikes Peak Diversity Council, Special Kids, Special Families, and Together Colorado, Colorado Springs Faith Table. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but thank you so much to all of our sponsors for everything that you do to support the League and putting on these forums. We would also like to recognize some elected officials that are here with us tonight. I believe Mr. Chuck Broerman, our El Paso County Treasurer, here in the front row, and Senator Bob Gardner, State Senator, District 12, is here with us as well. That's my district. I got a mind block, so we're going to have to chat afterwards. But, and of course, Miss Julie Ott, our District 11 school board member, is in the audience as well. So thank you so much for joining us. So candidates, you ready for the next question? We're good? Awesome. All right. Moderators, take it away.
Okay, thank you. So on the next audience question, we're going to start with Mr. Lucas. What can you do as a state senator to alleviate the problem of affordable housing? 1 minute.
Yeah, so one thing that I think, maybe not as much as a state senator, but as an elected official, is to help to build the communities that are needed to bring those community resources together and help to get more buildings actually in our district. So in SD10, we're actually just under 4% of open housing in SD10. What we need are more homes. We need more housing built. We need to infill in SD10. So for me, that means bringing together the builders, bringing together the county, and finding new ways for us to fill in the spaces that we have so that, again, public transportation could actually be a reality in this district.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Liston.
Would you repeat the question?
Yes. What can you do so as a state senator to alleviate the problem of affordable housing?
Very good. Well, as a free market capitalist, capitalism is good. And I've worked extensively with the home builders of the Pikes Peak region, as well as the Colorado home builders. And part of the reason why we have a problem with housing is because of the onerous government regulations that are placed on the home builders and the building industry in general. The people who know how to build homes are the home builders. But when you have unelected bureaucrats and elected officials sometimes that are telling the home builders what to build, when to build it, how to build it, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to do this, that only drives up the cost of homes. And the other factor, which is hurting the home building industry, is the interference from the trial lawyers. The trial lawyers have squelched bills that we, as the legislature, have agreed on, bipartisan home bills that would bring out more homes, and yet the trial lawyers jump in the middle of it and have killed those bills 2 or 3 times now. That's unfortunate.
I think that needs another 30 seconds from each of these gentlemen. I'm just going to give it to them a little extra time to respond.
I was going to ask if I could rebut,
Yes.
so thank you, I appreciate that.
Mr. Lucas, you're first. 30 seconds.
Wonderful.
30 seconds, Mr.
So I actually, the question about, or the statement being made about bureaucrats, I'm a little concerned given a couple of things that have happened recently actually in Colorado Springs, especially some of the developments up in the Black Forest area with the 300-year water rule, and as well as fire protection districts, out as you move further east. I don't think that those regulations are problematic. I think they're absolutely necessary for smart development. So I'm a little concerned when there's an argument that those regulations are onerous.
Okay.
Thank you. And Mr. Liston?
Sure, well, I'll just finish up that there again, my conversations that I've had with the true professionals in the home building industry, that they are overregulated. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be regulations. There should be, but when you have people in the legislature that have never built a home themselves telling home builders how to do their job, I don't think that's right. And sometimes the home builders are left out of the so-called stakeholder process, is that people and special interest groups get together and they say this is the way it's going to be done, and the home building industry is left out of the equation. That is not right, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Mr. Liston, do you feel that $400 million for law enforcement is adequate from the state, or would you change that? And also, Are you open to working with community organizations to find solutions for crime prevention? You have 1 minute.
Okay, well, $400 million sounds like a lot of money. I'm not sure if all of that, to be honest with you, goes to law enforcement. That's, but when you have a state as big as Colorado, $400 million doesn't go very far. I am a pro-law enforcement candidate, and I support our men and women in blue and always will, and all of our first responders. So I'm very pleased to work with our Chief of Police, Adrian Vasquez, as well as our Sheriff, Joe Roybal. I've worked with him on legislation and intend to do so this next upcoming session. As far as working, I think you asked about community groups.
Yes,
but by all means, they should be, and I believe that more often than not, they are brought into the equation as stakeholders. So it shouldn't just be people at the state level working with law enforcement. It should be other stakeholding groups. And so that should be part of the equation.
Thank
Everybody
you.
has a stake in it.
Thank you. Mr. Lucas, do you feel that $400 million for law enforcement is adequate from the state, or would you change that? Also, are you open to working with community organizations to find solutions for crime prevention?
Yeah,
1 minute.
So in addition to crime prevention, I would actually talk about crime response, right? I think that if we diversified some of the spending that we have for public safety at this point, and started to bring in more behavioral health professionals as a part of that process, I would love to see some of that $400 million go to therapists that are actually patrolling with some of our public safety. I would love to see them as a part of the first responder efforts here in Colorado Springs and across the state.
Okay, and a rebuttal? Mr. Liston.
Well, if I may, I just would add something.
30 seconds.
Sure. Well, currently our law enforcement professionals, when they go out on a call, more often than not, they bring a mental health professional. I have gone on ride-alongs with the Sheriff's Department. I know how it works firsthand. Believe me, they put their lives at danger every time. But they just don't go in and kick down the doors. Mental health professionals are indeed a big part of the equation with law enforcement professionals today.
And Mr. Lucas, 30 seconds.
Sure. No, thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. We will move along to the next question from the audience. And this is a very four-word question, but you have 30 seconds to answer. And so to start with Mr. Lucas, who is endorsing you?
So I've actually, again, part of being in such a short, truncated election, I was not actively asking for endorsements from any group. I did ask for endorsements from one group, which was the Working Families Party. They are the only group that has endorsed me, and also the only group that I've requested an endorsement from. And a lot of that really did have to do with wanting to make a statement in this district that there are people that that are trying to make things better, in this district.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Liston.
Very good. Well, that's a great question. I'm very proud of the endorsements that I've received. I've been endorsed by the Colorado Chamber, which is the state chamber of commerce. I've been endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police because of my stalwart work on behalf of the men and women in blue. I've been endorsed by the Colorado Medical Society. I've been endorsed by the National Federation of Independent Businesses. I've been elected 8 times from the people in my district. But the most important endorsement that I have are from the people of my district who have elected me time and time again. I'm very grateful for their endorsement.
Thank you.
Okay. For our next question from our audience, Mr. Liston, where do you stand on Proposition 80? That's the school choice constitutional amendment. Are you for or against, and why? You have 30 seconds.
I am for Proposition 80. I'm a product of public education. In fact, one of my teachers is back there. I went through public education, but I think that, that other forms, just like we've evolved over the years, to have charter schools is very important. I support the homeschooling. I support all of the above, and I still support public education. But I think that Amendment 80 is worthy of the voters' support, and I support it.
Thank you. And Mr. Lucas?
I am very much against Proposition 80. And I'll make 2 points on this. The first is that should not be a constitutional amendment. I find that to be a very poorly planned out ballot measure. And the second item is we already have choice. This is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Thank you.
Perfect. The next audience question, and we're going to start with Mr. Lucas. Where do you stand on Proposition KK, firearms and ammunition? Are you for or against, and why? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I am pro KK. I do believe that there is value in turning those revenue dollars into some directly valuable tool to be able to support people who have been negatively impacted by gun violence.
Mr. Liston.
Well, we will disagree there. I'm against Amendment KK. That is an unfair tax on all people who believe in the Second Amendment. People who believe in the Second Amendment, they already pay their taxes. They are safe, and all that's going to do is just drive people to go and purchase their firearms-related stuff across borders. So the state of Colorado will actually lose money on that proposition, because the more you tax something, the less you get of it.
Can I get a point of clarification on that?
Okay, so here's the thing. We have kind of done a couple things where we have let you guys go back and forth, which is very rare for the league. I'm going to say that, number one. So we're going to have a little bit of a debrief session. So we will give 30 seconds again for you to respond as a point of clarification, but 30 seconds, please. And Mr. Lucas, you are first.
It's just a point of clarification. I just wanted to ask the question. This is not pointed at Mr. Liston. My understanding of KK is that there is actually no increase in taxes as a part of that proposition. That is the appropriate, or that is the where the funding, those tax dollars are going to be going. Is that correct or incorrect?
I understand it as from our recent ballot issues that it is a tax increase and it will be added to the ammunition.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry, for whatever sales or whatever those things look like to those. There are exemptions, but it is an increase with regards to that. But it will also, according to what we saw, the assumption is that it would be passed on to us as taxpayers by those people who are having those sales. So it is an increase. Yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So that was my 30 seconds. Is that all right, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So I get 30 seconds.
Next question.
I'm sorry. Is that all right, sir? Did I answer it correctly for you, Mr. Liston?
Yep.
Did you want to say something?
Sure, do I get
30 seconds, please.
Sure. Well, yes, you answered it correctly. It's a 6.5% increase on anything that's firearms related. That's an excise tax. It's a tax above and beyond, and that we really shouldn't be doing that. We should be protecting our Second Amendment rights, and it will just drive those sales to other states outside our borders. It will be a boon for New Mexico, Wyoming, and
Okay, I didn't
Utah.
intend for it to be. I wanted just point of clarification, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I would also like clarification because I did not understand it was on all firearms, so I need clarification on that as well. There was a specific point on that. And I'm going to encourage you to also watch our ballot issues forum that we just recorded as well, that is being uploaded as a podcast, because there's a lot of information in there. But I'll take that blue book. No, I'll just take the blue book. And then next question, please.
Okay. Our next question, what bill will be your top priority if you're elected? 1 minute, Mr. Liston.
Very good. Well, not to sound like a broken record, but I just had a Zoom call with the governor's energy office today about nuclear energy. There are exciting things happening in the nuclear energy field. We are on the cusp of bringing, I believe, nuclear energy back to Colorado in some form. I will, and I'm working with one of my colleagues, Senator Marchman, who is a Democrat, to bring about and foster potentially the development of nuclear energy here in Colorado. I'm very excited about it. Not only are more and more people interested in it, particularly people of younger generation, they are very, very open to the concept of nuclear energy. And as you've noticed, more and more major companies like Microsoft, Google, and many other companies are looking to have nuclear energy meet their energy needs because of AI needs, which I'm sure Ryan would understand all of that. So that will be one of my first bills, something in the nuclear field.
Thank you.
Mr. Lucas, what bill would be your priority, your top priority, if you're elected? 1 minute.
Yeah, so thank you for teeing that up for me, Mr. Liston. Yes, AI is actually going to be probably the first bill that I would bring up. I think what I'm prepared for, and I think is going to be critically important for this next generation, is protections from these tools. I do believe that AI is an amazing opportunity, but there are safeguards that are deeply needed, including protecting our youth from these tools, protecting the education system from these tools, and also protecting industries that are prone to being negatively impacted by artificial intelligence in particular.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. So we are getting to our last question. So this is going to start with Mr. Lucas. Colorado has some of the lowest education funding in the country. Should Colorado adjust its funding for preschool through high school? If so, how should we pay for it? 1 minute.
Boy, how to fund it? That's a really great question. I hate to be the Democrat who's up here saying we got to find a way to raise taxes, right? But that's how you pay for education. I absolutely think that we do need to find some way to raise teacher salaries. I think that's incredibly important. And I think that there are a lot of interesting ventures that have happened recently in Colorado Springs to try to retain teachers without actually increasing salaries. I think that's where we have to start. We have to start with teacher increases.
Thank you. Mr. Liston.
Well, once again, I can say that I'm very proud of my record of supporting educational needs. And in this fiscal year, or this last fiscal budget, something we did in the Senate and really the legislature on a bipartisan basis is that we fully funded education, and we did away with what we fully funded and got rid of the so-called BS factor, budget stabilization, that for years has hurt the educational funding. So we fully paid off the so-called BS factor to the tune of, I've forgotten the exact figure, but it's been hundreds of millions of dollars. So quite frankly, and that will continue on, we have done our best. Once again, we have to have a balanced budget in Colorado, but we worked very, very hard. And once again, the fact that I serve on the Appropriations Committee and had a vote on the budget, that I put my mouth where the money is and made sure that we fully funded education this year.
Well, that is the end of our audience-driven questions, and we'll now ask each candidate to finish with their 2-minute closing statement. We'll go in reverse order from the opening statements, so that means that candidate Lucas.
Right. Who went first?
First?
That's right.
It was,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry, my bad.
So that's okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's just fine. So that means that candidate Lucas, your 2 minutes clothing statement begins now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And again, thank you to the League for putting on these events. This is not the first candidate forum that I've been to. I went to the HD22 forum, and it was so great to be on the audience side, and I'm hoping that you guys all really enjoyed this event as much as I enjoyed that event. Politics is very important. Government is very important. You guys showing up here today is very important because having an engaged electorate means an engaged legislature. And so I want to thank Mr. Liston for coming out today, all of the rest of the electeds that came out today, for helping to engage the public in these important topics. This is my 3rd time running for office, and again, it was a vacancy appointment. I didn't set out to run for Senate. I didn't set out to run against Mr. Liston. I actually don't have anything. I did not come with any reason that I wanted to unseat Mr. Liston, right?
That's good.
Because it's likely not going to happen. But what's true is that in this district, about 45% of the district is unaffiliated. They're not Democrat, they're not Republican. And it's important that we all start to have some very serious conversations in this country. We didn't get a chance to talk about Prop 130 today, and I think that that's an incredibly important piece that's on the ballot this time as well. And so I hope you guys will all go and learn about how that's going to end up impacting our politics in this state going forward. Here's what I'll encourage you to do. Go to my website, sd10lucas.com. You can reach out to me there. I would love to sit down and have a conversation about any topic you want to talk about. Mr. Liston, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Mr. Liston, candidate, your 2-minute closing statement.
Very good. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having us here. It's really been fun and interesting. I have enjoyed this, and I want to thank the audience, both here as well as the audience, the millions of people that are tuning in and watching this. I'm Senator Larry Liston. It's been my honor and privilege to represent the good people of Senate District 10, and I look forward to representing you in the years ahead. I have been a pro-business legislator, which is why I've been endorsed, like I say, by the Colorado Chamber year after year. I'm very proud of the things that of the legislation that I've carried. I've received numerous accolades and awards for my legislative career, which I won't bore you with the details. I've been a defender of the taxpayers by standing up for the Tabor, for our Tabor Bill of Rights. I've worked very closely with our medical professionals, the Colorado Medical Society, the Colorado Dental Association, in protecting the health and the welfare of the citizens of Colorado. Like I say, I know the people of my Senate district. I'm widely known for really getting out and mixing it up with my constituents. During the campaign, Ryan mentioned that he was just put on the ballot. I went through a pretty bruising primary just to get here, which I welcome the opportunity to do so, to get out there and meet my constituents, not just this year, but each and every year that I've run, which is why the people, like I say, the citizens, and all the citizens, Democrats, unaffiliated, and Republicans, and even people who don't vote, they know me, they like me, they trust me, and they turn around and they vote for me. So when you see me in the grocery store, don't hesitate to come up and say hello. Thank you very much. I respectfully ask for your vote this year. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Can we get a round of applause, please, for your candidates? Very nice. All right, so we have just a couple minutes. I'm going to do a point of clarification as well on KK. It is retail firearm sales. Sellers with annual sales of less than $20,000 are exempt. Also, law enforcement officers, law enforcement agencies, active duty military members are also exempt from that tax as well. So there are additional exemptions. Please refer to your blue book on page 34 and 35 for that additional clarification. So that wraps up our live and virtual forum for Colorado State Senate District 10. Again, it's been a long day. We are so awesome. Again, shout out to our voter service team. They did an amazing job. This is our final forum. You can find all of our candidate forums on our Making Democracy Work podcast, on our YouTube channel, and on our website, LWVPPR.org. In addition, we want to say thank you to our sponsors. If you are watching this at a later date and time, links to all of our sponsors can be found in our show notes for every candidate forum. And of course, candidate surveys, those candidates, if you haven't filled out your ballot, vote411.org is a great source of information for the candidates as well. And then remember, we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. We are member-driven. If you are a student, you are free. So please go to our website and donate, lwvppr.org. Again, thank you to the facility Creekside Success Center tonight. We appreciate you. Thank you for being an informed voter. If you have any questions, please contact the league at lwvppr@gmail.com or 719-447-9400. Candidates, if we could have you stay for a picture real quick with the moderators, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate it.